Gilmore Girls, and have I worked with any of the cast since the show ended? Yes, actually, a few times. Not that often, but here we go. Alex Borstein on an episode of Shameless. I don't remember what episode it was. I just remember it was the beginning of one season or the end of another season, and she played the therapist. And all I know is the season that it was, William H. Macy had a broken arm or something. Yeah, I think it was a broken arm. Next, Alexis Bledel. I worked with her on Mad Men. And funny story, I ran into her. It was very super secretive. I ran into her in the lobby of the LA Center Studios, which is where we're filming. And I was like, Alexis, oh my God, how are you doing? And she would not tell me what she was working on. And I was also working on a show where you could not say what you're working on. I'm like, are you working on, their code name was You Rock. And she was like, because I'm working on You Rock. And she's like, yes, I am. And I was like, awesome. And then I would do background, helping get them dressed and doing fittings and stuff. And one day they were like, Valerie, can you cover set? Because there was a very sensitive scene with Alexis, and the other costumer who took care of her needed to do something else. And I was like, sure. And so I ended up being there the day that she and Vinny were in the hotel room. And it was so funny because we were just laughing the entire time, because I was like, I was here for your first sex scene and I'm here for your last. Next, the guy that played Tom, aka Biff. I was working on Suburbicon, and he played like the manager of a grocery store or something like that. Yeah, I think it was the manager. And so that was just such a trip to walk down memory lane with him. He's such an awesome guy. And then who else? I know there's someone else. Melissa McCarthy. Now, my husband had gotten a job working reshoots on a movie called Tammy. And he told me, he's like, Melissa's in it. And I was like, oh my God, cool. Well, have fun. Please tell her I said hi. And then I was working the day before they were going to shoot on another show for like a day. And I was down at Warner Brothers, and the cage for this show, Tammy, was downstairs. And I just so happened to look in the cage, and it's one of my friends was prepping it. And I said, oh my God, like I worked with Melissa. I would love to, like, if you guys need any extra help, I would love to work. And they were like, well, we just hired someone, but yeah, we could probably, yeah, we'll just tell them that we went with someone else. And I was like, okay, oh my God. And so they didn't tell Melissa. And I showed up. Our call was super early. Colin and I actually got to carpool to work those 2 days. We get to work, and I'm at the costume trailer, and it's really early. It was dark because it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm steaming out clothes in the parking lot because the trailer is so small. Melissa parks her car, and she starts to walk over to the costume trailer because she wanted to talk to the costume designer. And she sees me, and she gets a little confused. She says, Valerie? And then she starts crying, and she gives me a hug because she wasn't expecting to see me there. Rose Abdu, who played Gypsy, I was working on Without a Trace. And I remember we were shooting a scene in a mental institution. Kelly Bishop and a few others, because it was all the same show. I actually worked on Bunheads with Amy. Chris Eigman was directing one of the episodes. Jackson Douglas was directing one of the episodes. I want to say Paris was on set one of the days. Rose, I think, was also on set. Rose Abdu, and Greg Lee Henry was there. He played Mitchum on Gilmore Girls, and boy, is he so different in Bunheads. If you haven't seen Bunheads, you should. Robert Lee. Now, you're probably like, who the hell is Robert Lee? Robert Lee was the Asian man in Luke's Diner that we all called Fake Caesar, and you probably thought he was Mr. Kim, but he was not. We were filming in Chinatown, and he played the dad of the character that Sherry Cola played. One last one, they keep popping into my head. I was working on Without a Trace, and do you remember April? Well, Vanessa Morano played Anthony LaPaglia's daughter. Milo Ventimiglia on Heroes. So I was working a second unit. A second unit means that there are 2 units working simultaneously. Usually they hire them if they have overshot or they just don't have enough filming days. So this was like a brand new crew that would film, and Milo was on the other unit. So technically I wasn't working with him, but I did go break in on stage, sneak in there, tried to find someone to tell them, like, just, can I go say hi to Milo? And they're like, oh, yeah, here, he'll be out in a few minutes. So he came out and said hi. And we got to hang out, which was really fun.